Volume 3 issues directly explore the subconscious. In these episodes, I provide you with techniques to uncover your own deeper mind content, then illustrate what to look for and show you how to change. But these episodes require focus and undivided concentration. Properly applied, they deliver you deep personal insights into life and your own consciousness, beyond anything you've experienced or can find elsewhere. I suggest you only delve into Volume 3 pieces when you have the time and a quiet setting where you can focus and concentrate. Part 10 of Volume 3 points out the very negative side of prayer in projecting your own creative power out to imagined deities. The Essence of Reality explores how the psyche which you are creates the reality you encounter. Buenos dias, you found the Essence of Reality presenting a unique view of human consciousness, of your mind, and the nature of your being. We explore life's real function well beyond the dim scope of religion and science. Those old views distort your perception of life's real flow. Insights here clarify it. You create your life's real qualities, health, success, relationships. No other source does but you. To see just how that works, stay tuned and come back again because we have many a topic to cover. As all Volume 3 pieces, this clip looks at consciousness directly in a unique way, so it does. For the flaunting and touting Christianity does about prayer, claims of miraculous healing and such, in actuality, prayer is a very negative thing in the scope of real life. Without doubt, the absolute worst is the so-called Lord's Prayer, as it appears in both Matthew and Luke. Worse yet, as it was expanded by pious clergy over the ages. If there were a God making things happen, praying to it might be of some use, provided that deity were so malleable that it would change everything it had previously gone about creating just for the edification of one of its feeble minions. But there is no such deity in reality. So wailing entreaties might be offered only reinforce the apparent powerlessness in the already fearful, unconfident mind of the one praying. Tom Nair here, as always exploring consciousness. These perspectives add to my website, my books, and many talks I've given to open-minded listeners. Through a personal inner journey, I've come to see the oneness of things, an inner-outer connection of mind with reality that drives real life, yours as well as my own. Aware of that connection, you can improve life by finding and changing inner roots to outer problems. Volume 3 here directly addresses that clear awareness, as I call it. These clips cover techniques you can use to explore the subconscious, gain an understanding of how consciousness manifests its reality, and improve your own life in the process. Life is based on meaning. It unfolds inherently tied to and manifested by the person who experiences it. You, for example, insofar as your life takes shape before your very eyes. If you hold conflict within, you'll tend to attract conflictual relationships. If you lack confidence, you'll find yourself under the authority of others. If you prize struggle as a marker of character in the face of resistance, don't be surprised to find your own life full of, you got it, struggle. The mind is complex. You've come to see that if you've been working your way through Volume 3 pieces here and started to delve into your own subconscious. But overriding mechanisms like struggle and conflict held within will always get woven into real experience. That inner-outer connection is simply how life works. When you clear away inner negatives like conflict and punishment, life will work very much better than it has been. The only caveat being that the mind can be extremely complex, leaving, most likely, a lot of issues to be worked out. But a big one needing attention, particularly if you were brought up in a Christian environment, is wiping away the damage done to you by praying. Yes, damage and particularly by repeated prayers that hammer ever deeper into your psyche their power-draining effects. Remember, the composite image of your overall nature, as specified in your mindset, is what gets woven into real experience. Brought up by parents unduly influenced by Christian tenets, you will have picked up a base powerlessness that definitely needs attention. It's vital to first recognize that the Christian conjecture of a creator God is not only not real, but based on its mythical fantasy nature couldn't possibly be. However, you would have absorbed belief in such a deity as a core element of your understanding, a base definition as to life's function. Dumping that notion is difficult enough, but hammered into your psyche by repetition will be countless iterations of rote prayers. These might be simple. I recall the nighttime prayer my mother had me saying.
Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take.
Oh, what a pure bummer that is. It re-emphasized nightly how totally powerless I was. It transferred all authority over me and my life to, well, chance for one thing. The big if in if I should die, like as if I may just spontaneously pass out of existence, and to this imagined deity for another. But that and saying grace, the frequent entreaty to the conceptualized deity before meals, as though food itself were supplied by divine approval, pale in negativity to the Lord's Prayer. That began to be the nighttime ritual instigated when I was old enough to recite it, naively, innocently, before sleep. Let's take a look at it line by line. I'll use the Protestant version, the one inflicted on me.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
What that implants within your psyche directly into your self-image is that you, in the scope of the universe, are pretty much nothing in comparison to this grand sanctified God. In actuality, it's the other way around. You are vital, alive, and in existence, a key figure in the scheme of life, the key player in your own life, whereas that imagined deity is really nothing, no more than an idea. That at best is self-deprecating. Repeated often and somberly, it's very damaging to your self-regard. Next lines.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Sweet and humble, huh? No, damaging. This is asking, particularly in the mind of a child, wrangled into repeating this prayer, that some other will, some other intent should be realized in life, not his or her own. If you want a guarantee for unhappiness in life, there it is. Clearly, the will of the deity couldn't possibly be the same as one's own, given his status as chief honcho in the heavenly scheme of things. So, requesting that only serves to plant conflict and self-deprecation even deeper.
Give us this day our daily bread.
That reiterates to the self the same basic incompetence. It says, I'm not capable of supplying myself with things. I need divine intervention to provide stuff. Also a very negative thought.
Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us.
This line assumes we're bound to err in some fashion, and that others will do us wrong. Why is that? Well, you can substitute the word sin for trespass and you'll get the meaning. Archaic Christianity had a plethora of rules you had to follow so as not to commit a sin against God. Things like pride, just feeling good about yourself, lust, a natural drive, but a no-no to the prudes who created Christianity, envy and anger. These are human traits. Envy's bad only in that one is incapable of having the envied items or status oneself, which is likely if your self-image is lacking. And low self-esteem comes, that's it, from repeating prayers just like this one. Anger results when life you engage doesn't go your way, which is likely too when you project all of your own creative power to some imagined deity who doesn't exist.
Lead us not into temptation.
Utterly silly comment, as though there's a God out there who has nothing better to do than set up traps for you to fall into so he can judge you sinful later. This is idiotic and confusing to the subconscious.
But deliver us from evil.
Why would he hit you with evil in the first place? Or does that come from that other imagined entity, Satan? And if so, why would an all-powerful God allow it in the first place? Or why would he preclude it just because you ask him? These are all really stupid lines, all confusing to the childhood mind.
For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever.
Aha. The absolute worst of all. Entreaties, these would have you project all creative power in your life, all the satisfaction of accomplishment right out to this non-existent deity, and for all time. Where does that leave you? Powerless, a failure, forever and ever. The problem to such Christian tripe is the damage it leaves in frequent repetition. Praying those words repeatedly jams it ever deeper into the subconscious, where its conflict and self-deprecation fester in ongoing life. Your best approach to this sort of repeated entreaty forced on you during childhood is to pointedly cleanse the subconscious of its damage by stripping it point by point through conscious autosuggestion as laid out in Part 8 of this Volume 3 set. No God imbues life qualities, you do. If such rote expressions of self-reduction and glorification of a fictional deity have been imposed on you, you will need to dispel them, or they will plague your mindset and thus your life with conflict and guilt and repeated problems forever and ever. For the flaunting and touting Christianity does about prayer, claims of miraculous healing and such, in actuality prayer is a very negative thing in the scope of real life. Without doubt, the absolute worst is the so-called Lord's Prayer. If there were a God making things happen, praying to it might be of some use. But there is no such deity. Life is based on meaning. It unfolds inherently tied to and manifested by the person who experiences it. If you hold conflict within, you'll attract conflictual relationships. That inner-outer connection is simply how life works. When you clear away inner negatives, life will work very much better than it has been. A big one needing attention is wiping away the damage done to you by praying. Yes, damage and particularly by repeated prayers that hammer ever deeper into your psyche their power-draining effects. Praying those words repeatedly jams it ever deeper into the subconscious, where its conflict and self-deprecation fester in ongoing life. Your best approach to this sort of repeated entreaty is to pointedly cleanse the subconscious of its damage by stripping it point by point through conscious autosuggestion, or they will plague your mindset and thus your life with conflict and guilt forever and ever.